All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is, wow, Saturday. Unbelievable. Where does the time go? Where did the days go? That is an interesting thing, when you're spending more time living in flow space and flow state. Time gets very interesting. But yeah, Saturday the 4th. Oh my God. Can't even believe it. Wow, it's so funny. But it is funny because it's like, flow is a real thing. And the more the more in touch you are with that flow, the more strange time is because the parts of us that demarcate time, which tend to be correlated with like stress and fear and anxiety and all that stuff, as those things turn down, as like the volume goes off on that, that leaves you in a kind of wow, like just more of a in the, quote unquote, in the moment. But it's not really in the moment because the moment isn't actually a thing. It kind of is, but it sort of also isn't. In other words, like what we call the moment is more like an idea. And that's sort of the paradox of, when people are like, hey, be more present. This is a kind of funny thing, as I was talking about this, I think yesterday, where there are these ideas where they're super, super close, but you know, you have the wrong thing at the wrong time, man, or the right thing at the wrong time, or the wrong idea completely. So presence can be one of those things because a lot of people use this idea of like, you're present or not present as a way of, in essence, it can oftentimes be used as a subtle way to shame people. So we have to be really careful. So I have been living part of, the part of the mystery school teaching is understanding like I've been living without shame in my life for a long time. Um Probably 1999, somewhere around there, was the first major realization. um I had my, I was meditating with my meditation partner at the time, and we were going very deep. We were in Sedona, and we came out of this meditation and very much just were chilling in the unitive state. Fascinating thing. I'll go more into that, down the road, because it's interesting. It's good to share these things because people, um, it's one thing if you just have the concept, but it's another thing to be able to speak from the space. So we were kind of hanging in the unitive space, and fascinating time. And one of the interesting things that happened is there became this understanding that there are these concepts which sit on the experience. So what'll happen is there will, somebody, perhaps a teacher, and in some cases vaunted teachers will have this idea and experience, and their understanding is good for the time that they're in. But there's a lot of things that have happened in the last few thousand years, fortunately. So it's interesting because we're moving into a time where time is going faster and faster, but paradoxically, there is no time. So time is a human construct, but it's also a perception that we have. So there's something in our consciousness that demarcates time, but the paradox of time is that it's easy to start to believe in the reality of time because there's the experience of time, right? We're moving through space and time. There's sort of a beginning, a middle, and end, but there's how we describe it and how we demarcate it is very much cultural. So there are, like in a lot of the ancient cultures, time was circular. So a lot of the mythologies and the ideas were circular, and they would go in this circle. So if you begin to think of presence or flow as tuning more into the circle and less into the linear, um, that is kind of that's what happened back in 99, was this kind of movement. It was almost like falling off the edge of time and into this field of what I would call the unknown. Um, and uh, and so there's there's time, obviously, like, the sun comes up and down and there's an awareness of time, but the linear nature, the sort of tick, 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 tick of time starts to become much more abstract. And there are times when time, the awareness of time, that part of us that is clicking on time, just literally disappears. And that's a fascinating thing. So over the last couple decades, I've spent more and more time in kind of life as the meditation, um, less in the, getting trapped in the sort of, which is really paradoxical because there's so much mythology in our world about, about like, oh, be on time and all this like stuff, because time is very important for social structure. So I get that. But those of us kind of in the mystery school, those of us on more of a spiritual path or more of an artistic path, creative path, or more of a less traditional path, time is different and it's experienced differently. And that's a normal thing. So if there are moments where you experience time is this kind of weird thing, like that's normal. It's actually really normal and perfectly okay. Um, so as we're in the experience of time, which is why it's kind of funny sometimes, I actually need technology. Like I have to look at my technology to because I've basically relegated the keeping of time to technology. So I'll keep a watch or I'll keep something because it's important in dealing with people and culture and agreements and all that stuff to function in space and time. But as tapping into more of our infinite self, if you will, or more into our empowered self or energetic self, what I call again ER, energetic reality, which is where the loops of time are, where there is less emphasis on the linear nature of time. That would be more ER, energetic reality, and PR, physical reality. So the phone keeps physical reality time for me. I love atomic clocks for this reason. Like I love knowing that there is an atomic clock that is really serving one function, which is to demarcate cultural time. So that's great because I don't want to be responsible for that. So it's like perfect. And it does it really well. And so when I need to locate myself, I can immediately go check space and time. Now, that gives me the freedom to live more non-linearly, which gets to what the point of what I wanted to jump on. I've got to go fairly soon because I do have a linear space and time event, but I wanted to jump on because what a difference a day makes. So here it is, 4th of January 2020, new decade. We're 4 days in. I went to the gym today. It was fascinating, man. The gym was just filled with people, right? Just in time, because the ritual of time, the demarcation of time, they're like, oh my God, I got to work out. So there's all this like stress and anxiety. And oh my God, people were driving like crazy because they're in the linear structure. So, they got to catch the ritual and everything's got to be on time and It's really, got to get those calories. And, and I'm just vibing. I'm just flowing. I'm doing my thing. And it's interesting to like just be vibing and put on my tunes and just grooving, put on some. Right now I'm in this like 70s disco vibe, which is so much fun. There's nothing more fun than like being on the Stairmaster with the 70s with the heads on and listening to some groovy music, like back in the day when my mom and I used to throw the best parties, roof parties in New York City back in the day. So I'm grooving to that. I'm like back in that. So I'm flowing, I'm grooving, time is just doing its thing. And I'm watching people just so hilarious, and I really just have compassion for them. I just feel like, okay, just, sending you good vibes because I don't know, what else am I going to do? Like that's real. Like if you are in that reality, that is very real. It's very, very real. So, but I want to talk to you about this kind of the non-linear energetic reality, which is what I've been teaching about for quite a while. So as I've been doing my own work. So I take the period of time, the cyclical time of the change of the year, because most people are running around doing other things. So I have a lot of private time. And that's where I consolidate. I consolidate my knowledge and my experiences, and also kind of make those little nudges in my own psyche and my own consciousness for the changes I want to make moving forward. So, so I have been making these little nudges, and those happen in energetic reality. So for the last, oh man, probably 3 months, I've started this consolidation process. The consolidation process is super cool because it's energetic reality. Energetic reality has everything to do with so many things. Well, pretty much everything really is that's underlying it. And so as I'm preparing for the year and kind of looking at energetic reality and thinking about things, I've been really looking at like how to really do more of the mystery school and make it accessible to the people who want it, right? It's not for everybody. There's going to be a lot of people running for the hills. I get that. But there's also a lot of people that are ready for this. Maybe they weren't so much in the, 20 years ago, but there's something that's shifting. Time is speeding up. People are having more experience. Things are more crazy. I have people coming up to me and talking about, the potential of World War III. And I, of course, hear this through the filter of experience. So to me, it's very obvious what's going on. So I'm just like, okay, don't worry, like everything's fine. And it is, trust me. We don't live in a world where there's a World War III. Not, that's just not where we are now, fortunately. But you can stimulate fear in people, and that makes people very malleable. So that's, I think that's more what's going on. You just stir the pot and get people scared, and then you take the attention off of things that might, just might be more serious. So you just get people scared about things. It was crazy how many people came up to me and were like, "Oh my God, World War III," and it's like there's no World War III, so you can relax. But what we can talk about is that the consolidation and the thinking behind, or sort of the energy behind, the energetic reality behind reality, is what I've been focusing on. And so one of the interesting things is, I started thinking about, like really looking at like, how do we create an environment that is based in generosity, based in openness, which are the places I live. I live to live in freedom and space and expansion and generosity and kindness and openness and sex positivity and pleasure and freedom and open-mindedness and the willingness to not know, which is where I spend most of my time, in the unknown. But like, these things are beautiful things, especially when we're in non-linear time, because like, of course you don't know. How could we know? There's so many things that I, literally have no idea about, and how exciting that is. Every day I'm learning. So I've been focusing on this thing, and then for like 3 months, I've just been like, okay, how do we create ease in the experience? Because I have that in energetic reality. I live in ease and flow and abundance and freedom, and it's very, it's kind of fabulous, honestly, because it's, but it's also, for me, it's private, right? It's not for like, I rarely talk about this stuff. I'm talking about it more a little bit. I'm going to be talking about it more because the people have been asking me, because they've seen me go through lots and lots of, so, they're just, life happens, but there is a kind of psychological well-being / resiliency. And that is part of understanding energetic reality. So that's part of what I'm sharing with you. So anyway, in energetic reality, I've been living in this kind of abundance flow. And then what happened today, the difference a day makes, literally 4 days after the new year, I had kind of started putting the word out that I was accepting, I wanted to accept some donations just to kind of help. I want to get some gear and research, and there's lots of things I want to do so that it's not just an idea, but you can actually see how the underpinnings of, of thoughts, beliefs, ideas, ideology, belief systems, how those things affect reality. And, I do this in teaching and coaching, but it's helpful if people can actually see. So when I'm coaching, I'll take somebody out on the street. We'll change a simple idea or understanding, and the experience changes. One of my favorite things to do, because it's like, it is truly like living in the Matrix. People are just shocked. They're like, I don't, because it's unbelievable. So I wanted to start sharing some of that with you. So I've been thinking about, just how do I open my reality in that generosity that I live in, and let the school and the teachings and all of that reflect that. And I get a call today while I'm at the gym that a very generous donor who chooses to stay anonymous has is basically making a beautiful donation. And I'm very, very thankful for that, obviously. And it's an interesting donation too, because it's a matching donation. It's a matching donation. So the goal is I basically have 30 days to match the donation. And in that 30 days, so it's 30-day match. It's kind of like which I like. It's a fun challenge because it's fun. Like, it's fun, right? Because this donation came out of just energetic space, like opening a space out of the nothing, which is what kind of non-linear existence is, in a way, right? It's just kind of starting to understand all the space that exists in what we experience as reality, how much kind of flexibility there can be, whether it's in your thoughts or it's how other people respond to you, how you feel about yourself, your biology, literally, the chemicals inside of you, the swelling and cytokines. There's so many things affecting things, but most of us experience that like we experience time, very linearly and structured. But in reality, it's very circular, and you can change one component in that, and suddenly everything changes. So fascinating. So I have a donation. It is a matching donation. So the fun part is, and of course, if anybody's interested in helping with this, I'm completely open. But the fun part is a matching donation. So it's basically all or nothing. So that's going to be the super fun thing. Fun. Great. It's so great. It came out of the nothingness, and I believe, I know, like, it's beyond possible. It's just literally opening up the consciousness and awareness. So I'm taking the challenge. That's where I am. I'm just like, yeah, this is possible. That's the universe I want to live in anyway, and I have been living in. But I think people also need to experience that for themselves, and they also need to kind of understand it more intricately. So I'm going to try to explain it more and more precisely as we do this together. And because I would like the people who are interested in knowing, like really getting into the things that can't be taught. I would like you to, to be able to start to join me in this world and on this ride, because it's exciting. And I think we're moving fast enough now. There's so many changes, access to information. There's things that, back as I was coming up would take sometimes, time was moving quite a bit slower. But now there's this like speeding up, and that speeding up paradoxically is kind of loosening the fabric a little bit. It's kind of allowing, like, if you really can sit back and be more nonlinear, you really can start to see some of the cracks in the matrix, if you will, some of the no, they're not exactly cracks, but there's kind of like these are like ways to begin to understand how the fabric is woven together and how that's working with your mind and your brain to create, to stitch together reality. But if you can start to kind of understand that it's a little more flexible than it appears to be, um and I'll go into this. I mean, this is like this stuff is, it gets dense, and I'm not meaning it to be dense. I'm it's just exciting stuff, and it's it's fun to explain and fun to think about and fun to share about. And and as you start to understand the energetic side, there's all kinds of things that are possible. So that's kind of what's going on. And I wanted to just jump on because I'm excited. It's just fun. And I wanted to share it because that's literally one day. And it's like, whoop, whole new direction, just like that. So I hope you have a beautiful day and weekend, and whatever your adventure is. Please do feel free to ask questions just about your conundrums in life. And if there are things that I can share with you to kind of help you see more clearly, have the clarity, have more freedom, more space, it starts here. It starts here. It starts in your energy and your being. And also starts in seeing more clearly. So here's to seeing more clearly. That is a tea. Delicious and nutritious. Have a beautiful night. I'm going to sign off here, and we will talk very, very soon. Peace. Wishing you wonderful things on your journey.